Hey, there we are. There we are. Welcome back, you guys. Thank you. I gotta be a little flashy today. Today's draft day. Fantasy football is here. The season's about to start. Say goodbye to Andrew Luck, but we got the season around the corner. So in about 30 minutes, I gotta get out of here for the fantasy draft. But we gotta do the nursing news because it's important. We can't go without the nursing news. I'm here for you. And for those who don't know, thank you for joining me. For those who do know, thank you for coming back. My name is Swadik Mayanja. You guys can call me Q. And on this channel, I bring you news, current events, and fun topics for nurses and healthcare providers everywhere. Today, we got the lineup of stories. Short, quick lineup, but important lineup. Real important stuff. So stick around and let's get through this, baby. First story of the day, we're going to be talking about vaping. Marijuana versus nicotine. We know that marijuana is becoming legal all over the place. We know that people have been juuling left and right. You have now middle schoolers juuling. But the vaping has been causing some lung issues, and they're trying to decide, is it the marijuana or is it the nicotine or is it the mixture of both? I don't know. You stick around. Maybe you'll find out. We're going to have the nurse of the week. Favorite story every week. Nurse of the week. We're going to talk about the nurse of the week. She does do some badass shit, and I'm not just saying that. She really does do some badass shit. An Instagram suggested story, and we talking monies. Hey, yep, yeah. We're going to talk about money, Instagram suggested stories. Please don't forget, a shameless shout out to myself, Q the Nurse. Go find me on Instagram. Definitely follow, where you can suggest the story where I do in nursing news. And then our final story, what we're going to end on, is a little bit controversial. We are going to be talking about how an entire hospital might lose their government funding due to them forcing a nurse to go assist during an abortion procedure. So let's jump on in, y'all. All right, let's jump on in. So people are vaping hardcore, right? And lung injuries are being reported throughout the goddamn nation. Federal health officials are under fire for their unclear public warnings after one death and nearly 200 cases of vaping-related lung illnesses, which some say are related to the far riskier practice of vaping marijuana oil over nicotine. So that's your first hint of the day, to know that maybe they're thinking that vaping marijuana is more harmful than vaping nicotine, the e-cigarettes, the Juuls, right? So, and one of a local professor, a Boston University public health professor, Michael Siegel, said that the Center for Disease and Control, the CDC, and prevention is being unnecessarily vague about describing the injuries as simply vaping related, when many people might have been injured by vaping THC oil. So they really do think hardcore that the THC is causing these lung illnesses more rapidly and more severely than the e-cigarettes and the vaping of nicotine. And he continues on by saying, based on what we know now, I think there's enough to tell people, do not vape any THC oils, especially products that are bought off the street. Listen, so marijuana, and this is a Boston professor, marijuana has been legal to be used recreationally here in this state of Massachusetts. But marijuana vaping is new, right? Is new. And maybe even if it's not new, it's new that patients are willing to tell their healthcare providers, yes, I am vaping marijuana, because it's only become legal so recently. So I think it's super important that we allow our patients, and we tell our patients, we are here to take care of you. We just want you to tell us the truth so we can get this information and know the difference between someone who's vaping marijuana versus someone who's vaping nicotine, right? But they thinking that it is the marijuana because it became legal so recently, and the vaping of marijuana has become so widespread. They're thinking that the vaping marijuana might be causing this. I'm gonna give you a little more information here. So marijuana oil vaping was cited in at least 21 cases of severe lung illnesses, reported by the San Francisco Chronicle last week. In Utah, officials said marijuana oil was a likely culprit in most cases of lung illnesses in teens, which is insane to think about. These teenagers having lung issues, teenagers having breathing issues. It's nuts, right? We're not talking asthma here. We're talking about chronic, lifelong lung diseases, right? And a Wisconsin man. This is one of the most severe cases. A Wisconsin man had so much trouble breathing after he vaped both nicotine and THC oil that doctors put, his name was Dylan Nelson, into a medically induced coma and hooked him up to a ventilator. That's how intense it got. That's how intense it got. So you may be asking, Q, why? Why is it that the THC oils are worse than the nicotine? Well, that's what I'm here for. They don't call me Nurse Q for no reason, right? Q the nurse is here for you. I got the answers for you. Well, this is what they're thinking so far. This is what the research has so far. So most nicotine-laced liquid in e-cigarettes are alcohol-based and can't cause the lipoid pneumonia. And the lipoid pneumonia is what has been the major diagnoses in the vast majority of all of these intense lung illnesses that have occurred on the younger population. So e-cigarettes, literally the ingredients in e-cigarettes cannot cause lipoid pneumonia, but the type cited in many of the lung cases, according to Siegel, the oil used when marijuana is vaped can cause the lipoid pneumonia. So that's what they're thinking, and they're thinking that specifically the marijuana, the THC oils are causing this lipoid pneumonia. I just want to end on this because this is how serious it's getting, right? In my home state, the Massachusetts Department of Public Health notified some 25,000 doctors, nurses, and physician assistants yesterday, to watch for respiratory illnesses in patients who said they use e-cigarettes or vaporizers of any kind and report those cases to the state. Luckily, so far, crossing our fingers, and like I said, it's only 25,000 doctors, nurses, and physician assistants here in this Massachusetts, but we have had zero reported cases here in Massachusetts, but in the Midwest, and someone has died from this lung disease in Illinois a couple of days ago, and I think a week ago. So that's what got everything started. And I think people are really upset with the CDC and the FDA, trying to tell them, why aren't you being more specific? Why aren't you letting the public know? The reason they aren't letting the public know, the reason they can't come out and say, don't do this, don't do that, is because they're still in that stage of trying to figure out whether it is for a fact the THC or the nicotine or both, right? Remember, if you live in a state where marijuana isn't legal and you are vaping marijuana, if you have any of these problems, or if you're a nurse and you have to admit and ask these patients for any of these situations, let them know that they can tell you the truth, because we need to know the difference. We really do need to know the difference. So that's the situation so far. They're thinking hardcore that it's the THC over the nicotine. We'll find out. If there are any updates, I'll let y'all know. I will let y'all know. Moving on. Like I said, y'all, Nurse of the Week every single week is my favorite story, and this week's Nurse of the Week is a badass nurse. I mean, it doesn't get any more badass than homegirl right here. Her name is Mady Howard, and the reason she's the Nurse of the Week is because she is a ninja warrior. And not only is she a ninja warrior, she's not a ninja warrior, she's dipping her toes in the water, she's going to the gym trying to hang on some bar. No, she is a ninja warrior that has advanced to the American Ninja Warrior Finals that is televised on the big telly. She's doing big things, y'all. She's doing big things. Mady Howard, she's an ICU nurse, and she is a finalist on the nationally televised program, American Ninja Warrior. She grew up as a gymnast, and that's why she just slid right on into the Ninja Warrior scene. She grew up as a gymnast. She started when she was 6 years old, and she went all the way through college. She didn't stop in high school. She didn't stop when she was a teenager. She went and she competed all the way through college. I found this story out from nurse.org. So they sat down with her and they interviewed her. And when they interviewed her, they said, well, why would a superstar gymnast want to become a nurse? And she says the way she became a nurse is because her mom was an OB nurse. I love when nursing runs in the family, right? It's in the blood. It's in the blood, right? So she's kicking some serious ass. And the way she went from gymnastics to nursing to then becoming a ninja warrior is that her hubby, her boo-boo, is the one who suggested it, just out of the blue, saying, you're not a gymnast no more, but you still work out, you got the flexibility, you got the gymnast history, why don't you just try it out? She's in Washington. They went to a gym that had some ninja warrior stuff goings on. and she fit right on in. Amazing. I love it. I love these things. I love these things. So if you want to watch her, if you want to support Mady Howard, right? The first episode aired August 26th, so a couple of days ago, of the finals of the American Ninja Warrior, but she wasn't on that episode. They're thinking that she's going to be on the on next week's episode. When she was asked about that, she said, I won't be on tonight's episode, speaking of August 26th, but I think I'll be on next week, though I'm not positive. She says the finals have already happened. They were filmed in June. So congratulations. So obviously she knows if she won or she lost, but she can't tell us because it's not going to air until next week. But I think this is absolutely amazing. I love it when nurses are doing things that are bigger and better for the community, but it also makes me so happy when nurses shine, and Nurse Howard here is shining real bright. You go, girl. You go, girl. You continue to kick some serious ass. I absolutely love it. The Instagram suggested story of the week. Again, I'm gonna let y'all know, if you want a story, if there's something you want me to cover, if there's something you want any healthcare provider to cover, you let me know. Follow me on Instagram and just let me know. Send me a DM. Just leave a comment in one of my posts. Let me know what you want me to cover. But this week we're talking monies, and I want to just shout out to Moses. I'm gonna have his in the edited version of this for you guys who are watching live. Thank you so much, I love you. But for in the edited version, I'll have his Instagram tag here, and moving forward, that's what I'll do for all Instagram suggested stories. The type of monies in nursing we're talking about is we're going to talk about how much nurse practitioners are getting paid in 2019. Every nurse and their mother that I've ever talked to in recent past is planning on going to get their masters, is planning on becoming an advanced practicing nurse, is planning on becoming an NP, a CRNA, all of the goddamn above. So let's talk about how much monies you can be making if you decide to make that decision. So I'm going to give you right off the bat, the top of the line information. The Bureau of Labor Statistics reported the average salary for a nurse practitioner in 2018 was around $107,000 a year, where the lowest 10% were earning around $80,000 and the top 10% were earning around $182,000. $182,000? That's a lot of money. You make that money, boo-boo. You make that money. And then so looking forward, so that was what the Bureau of Labor and Statistics had for 2018. So looking for 2019 and moving forward, ZipRecruiter places the 2019 average nurse practitioner salary at $107,000. So it hasn't changed by much. And Glassdoor goes a little slightly higher, saying that the average salary for 2019 will end up being $117,000. This is huge. So I just want to let y'all know. Okay, so a couple of factors that determine how much you're going to be making, because I remember I told you that the lowest 10% of nurse practitioners are making around $80,000 a year, where the top 10% are making around $182,000, $100,000 difference. So I just want to let you know the couple of things that would make a difference in how much you're making as a nurse practitioner, and those two things are as simple as in every goddamn job, but location, god damn it, it's location. And it could be even so the big locations are obvious, right? The middle of the country, you're going to be making less than if you're working out in the coast. So if you're working in Boston or New York, you're going to be making a whole lot more money than if you're working in Utah. Or if you're working in LA, of course, you're going to be making the most money. And at the end of this story, I'll tell you the 5 states where you can make the most money as a nurse practitioner. So location. But even if you worked in, let's pretend you worked here in Massachusetts. Even if you worked in Massachusetts, if you worked in the center of Boston, so if you worked at Boston Medical or Children's Hospital, probably not Children's, because all nursing and healthcare providers that work in children's hospitals make less. I don't understand why. It hurts me to say that, but that is the truth. But if you decided to work in the center of Boston Medical Hospital, versus working out in the west, like the UMass Memorial Hospital. For those who don't know what that is, that's just a hospital in the boonies of Massachusetts. And I don't mean to call it a boonies, but it's the biggest hospital outside the city, all right? So relax. Anyways, so even the difference between working in the same state, but one's in the middle of the city versus one is out in the boonies, there is a huge salary difference, right? So you got to remember location, obviously experience and education. I think more so in nursing is experience, because there is a baseline of entry for most of these jobs. So you can be a nurse practitioner if you have a graduate degree. Some, I don't think many, and I don't see it happen too often, but some people are getting a doctorate, and that can raise your price. Most nursing jobs are based on a pay scale, right? There's a pay scale, so you can't be negotiating. I want more money for this. No. It's all on the pay scale. So that's why I say your price is going to be, your salary is going to be based on experience, right? So if you've been working 10 years, you're going to be making a lot more money than if you're working 5. But that's like just every other job in the goddamn world. So let me just quickly go down this list. I got 7 minutes here to get to my fantasy league. So the 5 states where you could be making the most money as a nurse practitioner will go down from 5 up to 1. So number 5, New Jersey. The average over there is 115,000. Hawaii is number 4 at 117,000. Massachusetts, woot, is number 3 at 117,000 as well, just a couple $100 more. Alaska is 121,000. Who in God's green earth is in Alaska, right? Like I gotta talk to some nurse that's in Alaska, because that is, you gotta be paid good money if you're working in Alaska. And then last but not least, which is always and every single time we talk about money in nursing, California is where you make the most money at $124,000 a year. Absolutely amazing. Absolutely amazing. We're gonna do this last story, and I might be a little late to this fantasy league because I love you guys, and it matters. This matters to me, and I think it's controversial and it's really important. So let's talk about it, okay? The Trump administration on Wednesday threatened to pull federal support for a Vermont hospital after one of its nurses alleged she was forced to participate in an abortion despite objecting due to religious reasons. I just want to say from the get, I always feel some type of way when it comes to these kind of things, because I'm in the camp of you sign up to be a nurse, and I know people have their religious reasons to not want to be a part or do certain procedures, and I respect it. I really do respect it. But I always say, especially if it's in a situation you have a nurse shortage or you just don't have staffing at your hospital or your unit that day, you need to step up to the plate. I understand that you have your own personal reasons to not want to be a part of certain situations, but when the patient is in need and they need the care that they need, you can't tell them thank you but no thanks. Someone's gonna have to take care of these patients, right? So let me give you the details. So the nurse in question here is Catholic, and she used to work at the University of Vermont Medical Center, or UVMMC, and had made it very clear to her employer since the get, and I think that's very important to know. Since the get, she made it very clear that she did not want to participate in any abortion procedures for religious reasons. And then the complaint that she filed in May of 2018. So this is where the story gets a little rocky. And you might be surprised where I land on this. But after using the story, you might also not be. But anyways, here we go. So after being told that she would be treating a patient who had experienced a miscarriage, right? So she went into work, and her assignment that she was told to do was that she was going to be treating a patient that that had a miscarriage. She discovered that she had actually been scheduled to help with an elective abortion. See that right there. You heard my rant about why I think nurses should do what they need to do when they need to do it. But right from the get, you can't lie to your employee. You can't lie to your nurses. You can't tell them this is the assignment you're going to get, and then all of a sudden, surprise, abortion city. No, you can't do that. You can't do that, okay? According to a recently created policy at UVMMC, they can punish staffers who refuse to participate in abortions. Hold, I know that sounds intense. They can punish staffers if they refuse to participate in abortions when the hospital is short-staffed and the nurse's boss allegedly would not allow her to step out of the procedure room because she was the only one there. She was the only nurse available to help with the procedure. right? So now it's a little tricky. So first they lied to her about the procedure, lied to her about her assignment, which I think is wrong in every single sense of the way. But number two, on the hospital side, on the employer side, they needed her to do it. They had no one else. They had no one else, right? Fearing retaliation or that she would lose her job, the nurse agreed to go through with the procedure. But when she walked into the procedure room, the doctor allegedly said to her, looked at her and said, "Don't hate me," before he started the procedure. What? See, this is where I think the blame should be put, I don't want to say on the doctor, but on whoever decided on the procedure. Because it sounds to me, reading the story, and I did my research, it sounds to me that the person who decided to set up the schedule of the day, the actual doctor who set up who was doing the procedure, lied to the nurse manager, lied to whoever was making the schedule, and told that person that it was going to be a patient who had a miscarriage, when in actuality, in reality, it was a patient going through an abortion. So I think the finger to blame should be on either the doctor or whoever made the schedule, because that's where the confusion happened, right? But with all that being said, whatever happened, happened. We're moving on. Life is life, right? Life is life. According to the Office for Civil Rights at HHS, Health and Human Services, UVMMC broke the law and needs to change its staffing policy on abortion procedures. It received one, and this is important to know, because remember in the beginning of the story, I told you Trump's administration is threatening to take money out unless they do change the policy, right? All government funding. It received $1.6 million in grant funding over a recent 3-year period. So that's a lot of money that all hospitals need. UVMMC, I don't think, can go without it. So I do think they will be changing the policy. And to end it, the cherry on top, the heavy-handedness of the situation, the office will announce a formal notice of violation, giving UVMMC 30 days to change its policy. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm already 3 minutes late to my Final Fantasy draft, so I gotta bounce. But thank you so much for watching this live. For everyone who joined me, everyone who didn't join me, whatever the situation is, whoever you are, wherever you are, please, 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 in all of my videos for the near future, I'm going to have a link to my podcast. Please click it, go rate it, go subscribe, give me them 5 stars, because goddamn it, I'm trying to grow this podcast. And then last but not least, leave me a comment. Tell me the stories you like, the stories you don't like, what you want to hear in the near future, all of the above. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Catch you guys on the flip. Deuces.